Hey bourbon fans, I'm Tim the Suburban Dad, helping dads find great bourbon. Today we got the new Bookers, the Apprentice batch. This is batch 2023-02. The first one of this year was very enjoyable, very promising for a great year of Bookers. Let's dive in and see what this one is like. Let's get to it. Thank you for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe so that way you don't miss out on any information about the latest bourbon and whiskey news. Today we've got Booker's 2023-02 Apprentice batch. Some stats about this bottle. It is 125.5 proof, aged for 7 years, 1 month, 2 days. Another 7-year plus bourbon from Booker's. That is a step in the right direction on their part. Now, this one, price-wise, Booker's is still hovering around $90+ on average. I got this one hecka cheap, you guys. I haven't seen it this cheap for 3 years since I got my first bottle of Booker's. Okay, got this one at Costco in Missouri for $77.99. I feel like I should win an award for cheapest Booker's purchased within the last 3 years. Anyways, let's go ahead and get this open. I'll evaluate it using my 5-point scale on nose, palate, mouthfeel, and finish. So let's see how it stacks up. Let's get it open first. This one has some tricky packaging going on here. Let's have a pour. All right, so not only being 7 years old, but also 125.5 proof. Gonna let it air out for a minute. It's not part of my rating scale, but I always enjoy looking at the color just to see where it's at. This one is an average honey color, I'd say. It's not super dark, but it's not apple juicy either. So it's got a decent color to it. Very curious to see. Batch 2023-01, Charlie's batch was so good. It was such a huge step up from the 2022 batches. I have very high expectations for this one. I hope they keep that train going. Let's have a go at the nose first. First thing I pick up on is the lack of ethanol burn. So with a cask strength barrel proof bourbon like this, that's the first thing that's a sign of a promising pour ahead to me, is the lack of ethanol on the nose. So we're off to a good start here. Fruity on the nose is what I'm getting right away. A little bit of caramel toffee in there. Pastry, like an apple caramel strudel type situation. Very pleasant on the nose so far. I like it. Warm, inviting, tantalizing. Good. Okay. On the nose, I'm going to have to give it a 4 so far. That's really good. All I have is my big notebook today. All right, so let's have a taste. Wow. That sweet fruitiness carries over very well. This is quite drinkable for a Booker's. Holy cow. That goes down pretty darn easy. That's scary, actually. Wow. Wow. Very fruity and chewy on the palate. Let me explain. Chewy, it's more of a mouthfeel thing, I guess, but it's like the bourbon just kind of rolls along your tongue, almost like you could literally start taking bites of it with your teeth. It's a very pleasant experience, depending on how you take that description, but it's very pleasant. It makes it a very rich experience, very complex, very I like it. Flavor-wise for the palate, cherry pie with a lot of baking spices added to it. There's a richness to it, but I wouldn't quite qualify it as caramel per se. It's more like a very pleasant oak. Very sweet, very soft oak flavor, not bitter, not harsh. Very nice. My goodness. The palate is fairly complex for sure. Fruit is probably the main thing that jumps out at me. I'm getting more vanilla as I go along here. So fruity, vanilla. So take that spicy cherry pie with a dollop of vanilla ice cream on there. That's pretty much where we're at. I hate to do this, but I'm going to give it a 4.5. Try not to do decimal points, but this one is a little better than a 4. I can't quite say that I could commit to a 5, but man, 4.5 is really good. The mouthfeel. The mouthfeel, like I said, is fantastic. Coats the whole tongue. Let's see how it does with the rest of the mouth as well. It does. It just coats the tongue, kind of rolls up along the sides of my mouth. Just engages the whole mouth in terms of the tasting experience. And it's warming, but it doesn't give me a ton of Kentucky hug, which I'm actually okay with. It's just more in the mouth. It's not going down my throat as much. It's very good. I would say a 4 yet on this one. 4.5. I'm gonna have to give it another 4.5 on the mouthfeel. It's really that good, guys. It's very good. The finish is medium long to long. A lot of heat at the end. Heat is a kind of a harsh word to use, I'd say. Warming and spice. Baking spice, not peppery per se. I mean, it's still going, that finish. Guys, this Booker's is on a great track this year. Holy cow. 2022, 2023, yeah, I'm here for it. 2022 almost had me quitting on Booker's. That's how bad it was. Well, because the prices were going up, the age statements were going down, which I'm kind of back and forth on the age statement. In this case, the older seems to be better, so I'm going to roll with that. The prices were going up, the quality was going down. There was such a tone of rubbing alcohol in every batch from last year, especially when I tried them side by side. It's funny how individually they can taste so different, but side by side you pick up on similar notes, same type of characteristics batch to batch. I'll be very curious to try the 2023 batches side to side, see if I pick up on any particular notes. So far, I mean, just so much better than last year. The finish, man, the length of the finish is good. The quality of the finish is pretty good. I would say, okay, I'm going to go with a 4 as opposed to 4.5 or 5 because it's more just some, again, heat. I'm going to use that word heat at the end as opposed to true flavor that it leaves me with. So it's just a little bit more heat as opposed to true flavor. It's a very good finish though. Let's see. My last little bit of this pour. Bright fruit up front, a little bit of vanilla, just a tiny bit of caramel hint in there. The finish ends in more of a pastry type note at the end. Very pleasant, very, very nice. All right, I'm gonna stick with what I said. 4 for the finish. I'm tempted to go back to 4.5. Stick with 4. So perfect score on my rating scale is gonna be a 20 point bottle. This one is at 17, guys. I've The past few I've had around 15 points. This one is at 17. That's the highest one I've rated since using this new scale. It's really good, guys. It's really good. So this one absolutely gets my approval, gets my recommendation for buying it. 100%. No doubt about it. I got it for super cheap. I would easily pay $100 for this bottle. This is one I have never paid more than $100 for a bottle of Booker's. This is one that potentially, knowing how it tastes, I'd probably be okay with spending $110 on it. I know. It's the first time I said that about Booker's, but this one is a strong comeback. Strong. My goodness. So absolutely worth it for the price. Now, if you get into $120 plus, that's just stupid. They're ripping you off. Unless, I don't know, maybe you live in California or New York. If that's typical for you guys, then so be it. But where I live here in the Midwest, $100 is usually my max. I'm going to bump that up to $110 for this one for how good it is. So hopefully that helps your decision making. And for those of you who, like me, were pretty down on Booker's last year, they're back, baby. So until next time, cheers.